Can you bring me that?
All right. So for everybody that's watching this on YouTube, what we're about to do is a market analysis. If you've seen my other videos, I've gone through this quite a few times. This is when I take an entire city, extract all the data, and then organize it into a report that looks similar to this, where you can then figure out what the average annual revenue is going to be for the entire city. So Josh has allowed me to record this and post on YouTube. So thank you, Josh. Really appreciate it. Josh is looking to do stuff in Indianapolis, and we literally just got on this call, so we're just about to go through everything together. So everything you're going to see is going to be very natural. It's just going to be exactly how I look at things and how I figure things out and what I recommend to all my clients during the consulting call that you get with me afterwards. Make sense? Cool. All right, done with that.
Sounds good.
Cool. Let's get into it. All right. So first thing I want to do is I actually want to show you how this started off and where it ended up. And I also want to let you know that I talk a lot. So when I do these presentations, I usually just speak in really long sentences and just kind of keep going so I can get as much information as possible out within a very short period of time. So if at any point in time you want to jump in, ask me a question, just cut me off. You're not going to offend me whatsoever. So you're good to go there.
Okay, perfect.
You have permission. So
Thank you.
No problem. So when we started off with the raw data, every single row that you're looking at here is a Airbnb listing, right? And I think I've gone through some of this with you already, but it's just going to be a refresher for you, okay? So every single row is an Airbnb listing. And up top, we have the different data points. Right? We have average daily rate, occupancy, bedrooms, bathrooms, stuff like that. And when we first extracted all this data, we ended up with 1900 listings, right? But a lot of these listings are not, the data on them is not useful, right? So we need homes that have been operating for an entire year. So we have the annual number from them because Airbnb extracts everything on a daily basis, right? So we need homes that have been managing for ideally over 250 to 300 plus days, right? And we also need it to be an entire home and not like a private room or something like that, because you're trying to build an Airbnb business where you're going to be getting homes, turning them into short-term rentals, right? So we need that annual number so we can run it up against our annual expenses, right? Pretty straightforward. So a lot of the data, once again, is not useful. So we started off with over 1900, and when we finished extracting it all, we're around 409, right? So 409 listings. So a lot of it has been removed. That's actually a pretty good ratio. A lot of the times it's actually more. We're only left with like 10%. Right now we're left with almost 25. So I'm just going to hide these because they're no longer useful to you once you're moving forward. So just to keep it nice and clean and organized, I like to get rid of that. Now, this pivot table that we're looking at is based off of those numbers that we went through. Okay. On the left-hand side, you're looking at the zip code, and it's organized from whichever zip code has the most listings to the least amount of listings. Okay. Now, up here, what you're looking at is the number of bedrooms, right? So you can see there's 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, and where those two connect. So you can see 2 bedrooms right here for that zip code. On average, those listings are making $26,000 a year. Okay. Now this number that we're looking at, once again, is the average of the revenue column. Now what we want to do is, if I come over here and I change this to count, that's going to actually tell me how many Airbnb listings we're looking at. So when I change that to count, that says that there's 22 Airbnb listings that are making that average of 26,000, right? Now that means that 11 of them are doing better than 26,000 and 11 of them are doing worse than 26,000, right? And then that's the same case for every other place that we're looking at right now. Okay. So I'm going to change this back to average, and you can use the little legend down here to understand the color coding. So a darker green means 5 or plus listings. Then 4 to 3 is in the lighter green, and then 2 or less is in not shaded. Okay. And the reason I have it done that way is because with data, what matters is trends. And so to have a trend, you need a lot of data, okay? So the reason why trends are important is because it shows consistency of something happening, repeatability, right? And if you're going to be going out there and renting a home or buying a home, you want to feel pretty confident about how much money you're going to make, okay? So I was just going through with my last client, Norfolk. It's literally called Norfolk, Virginia. And so, and in the downtown area, it makes $30,000. One bedroom will make $30,000. We found 4 listings that all make $30,000, right? So
Wow.
you can feel very, very confident that if you were to open a 1 bedroom in downtown, in that downtown area, you're going to make 30,000, right? Because we have 4 of the people doing the exact same. So as long as you have a good quality listing, you can do about the exact same. And it turned out that if the home was around $1,000 in rent, that 1 bedroom, then she could make about $7,500 in profit, which isn't a crazy amount, but it shows you that you can, right? It's a very consistent thing. This is actually one of another one of Kyle's clients, just so you know as well. So what we want to accomplish here is we want to find areas where we see a lot of consistency. And when we see that a lot of consistency, we feel confident that we can open it. Now, the best analogy to always remember about this is the Burger King logic, okay? So McDonald's spends millions of dollars to figure out what corner to open up on. Burger King opens up across the street. So we are Burger King, right? We are looking, and everyone else is our McDonald's. And and they are proving out how much money can be made. And then we're opening up across the street. Right? So we're not taking the risk, they are. And that's our logic. Pretty
I
straightforward.
like it.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool. Now, some things I want to point out. So I have to open up AirDNA. Some things I want to point out here is we're showing this many regions, right? However, as you can see, this row actually starts at 22. So it goes from 2 to 22. And then there's this little plus symbol over here on the left. The reason the plus symbol is there is because I've grouped a bunch of regions that do not have enough data to make it even worthwhile to look into. Okay. So if I change this to count, what you'll see is they have 1, 1, 2, 1. In other words, these are kind of like the outskirts of Indianapolis where there's not a lot going on. And so there's just no Airbnb listings out there. So there's not a lot of data to be used. And if we don't have a lot of data, we can't figure out a trend. And if we can't do that, then it's not worth it. Right. And most of the times this is like, Airbnb is mainly for vacation travelers, right? Or business travelers, whoever it may be. But the thing is that those people are staying in close to the downtown area where there are vacation things going on, right? Or tourism type things going on. So it's, you know, a hotel doesn't go out in the outskirts of somewhere unless there's people going out there. And we're in the hospitality industry. It's the exact same idea. So I always tell people just, you know, yes, all these regions exist, and yes, you could potentially get a home there. Maybe the homes are a little bit cheaper, but like there's not enough data to actually prove how much you can make. It's too inconsistent and it's not worth it, in my opinion. There's not enough money being made. So I close it and I just say, focus in on what matters, right? Even with my business in Chicago, I really only had, I would say I had 4 neighborhoods that I cared about. And within those neighborhoods, I only cared about 4 bedrooms. Other than one area, I liked 3 bedrooms, or sorry, not that I liked it, that there was money being made in 3 bedrooms. So
Gotcha.
you got to be very, very narrow. And that's all of Chicago. And Chicago is 77 neighborhoods, to put that in perspective, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. So anyways, okay. So that I've given you a lot of general information here to kind of give you an idea of what we're working with. So now the next step you want to take here is like, where do you go from here, right? It's like, okay, great. I can see all of these places where there's a lot of Airbnbs. I can see what the average annual revenue is, but like, how do I think about this and what are my next steps, right? And what you need to be thinking about here is, you kind of think of it as like a map. You're like on the left-hand side, you have your zip codes. Eventually you'll be able to figure out exactly what those zip codes mean and where they lay in the city. Your brain will just remember them, right? The more you go through this. But what we want to find is where's the most money being made on average, right? And because when you're doing rental arbitrage, you need to be making X amount of money, right? You need to be making a certain amount, so you're making more. You can't make a little bit. So what we want to do is look at where is the most money being made. And what I can see right off the bat is the 4 bedrooms are definitely making the most amount of money in comparison to any of the other sizes. And then there's not a lot of data on 5 bedrooms, right? So where I would start personally is in the 4 bedroom area, right? And I would try and figure out what's going on there. Now, also keep in mind that these are averages, right? So some are doing better and some are doing worse. Now, as you can see, I've already done a little bit of work here. because I've highlighted this a different color, and that's because I've researched it for you, because I wanted to see, I wanted to do a little bit of legwork beforehand to get an idea of exactly how profitable it could be, right? So this was the one that intrigued me the most out of all of them, this spot. So I wanted to start here. And the reason it intrigued me the most was because the 56 was one of the highest. This one's also 56, but the 3 bedrooms were doing 45, whereas these 4 bedrooms are doing 33, right? And then the 2 bedrooms are doing 35, whereas this one's doing 28. So in my mind, this zip code is doing better on average in comparison to that zip code. And so to me, that means even though there's less listings there, because it's the D ranked location, it still is doing better. It's bringing in higher revenue on average across the board. Okay, so I like that, right? So
Let's see, fun fact, that's the neighborhood we just moved into and bought a house in.
Perfect. So you already know the zip code. There you go.
Yeah.
Odds are you probably know it pretty well too.
Well, yeah, but I was curious. I didn't know how well the short-term rentals were doing over here. So that's really interesting.
Well, we're gonna figure out really detailed how well they're actually doing.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is going to be a bit of a grind. It's a bit of a process, but the results are awesome, right? Like what you get out of this, and we'll get to it. I'm pulling this up right now just because I want to pinpoint that area. So that's the area here, right? So what we're going to get out of this is we're going to know exactly what a home needs to look like, what the kitchen needs to look like, what the furnishing needs to look like, what the bathroom needs to look like, how big the place needs to be, if it needs a pool in the backyard, or if it needs a yard of any sort of kind, or if it can be in a condo. We're going to figure out exactly what it needs to look like and how much a home like that will make. Okay. And then the idea is that you're going to have this sort of buy box, or this criteria that you can then use when you're going to search for rental properties or purchasing properties, to be able to figure out exactly how much it's going to make. So to give a little, my own experience, a little story, right? When I was in Chicago, I looked for 4 bedrooms, like I kind of already mentioned. However, if a 4 bedroom did not have a dining room, like a room just for the dining table, I wouldn't take it. I would not sign the lease for it. Even if it was beautiful, it was great, but it didn't have that, I wouldn't take it, because if it didn't have a dining table or a room for a dining table, then it didn't show well, and it wasn't very big, right? Like it may have had, like, so I found some homes that were pretty big, they're pretty great, but then like the whole communal area was tiny, right? And I'm hosting 12 people on average, right? And so these 12 people want to hang out outside of the bedrooms in the communal area. And so they want a dining table in a living room area, and they want to be able to sort of move around the home without feeling like they're all stuck in one little room together, right? And so if it didn't have a dining room, it just couldn't take it. And that's like that's a really good example of something that seems very small, but if you didn't know that, you lose money, right? And I did sign a lease where a home did not have room for a dining table, and I lost like $20,000 to $30,000 on it.
Wow.
Furniture and like what I was losing on a monthly basis on that home, right? Not including the working for the entire year and making no money on it either, right? So so you really don't want to do that. That's why you want to learn this criteria and little pieces of information, and why you narrow it down to just a few select areas and a few select type of homes, right? Cool. So yep, this is the area here so you're within this range.
Yep. You see the I'm trying to point, but you see where that little Madison branch is?
Yep.
Right there. We're just east of that. Between that and East Street, we're right in there. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. So it looks like, so what I'm going to do is these little toggles up here let you look at, these are the shared rooms, these are the private rooms, and these are the entire listings.
Okay.
So I'm going to look at just the 4 bedrooms that are entire listings. Okay. And we already have this data, so we're going to go through it right now. Now I've actually already gone through it partially. But let's go. So sorry, let me explain. I missed a step here. So once you've decided that you want to look into this area and learn more about it, right? And learn what, because once again, some people are doing better, some people are doing worse. So we want to figure out the people are doing better, what they're doing, right? And so what you do is you right click on this and press show details, and it's going to open up all that information, right? Also, another thing I forgot to mention, I am recording this for you. However, you are getting my 2 courses for free because you're Kyle's client. So
Nice.
yes, so I have like 6 hours of content. 3 of it is going through all of this and learning it like extremely in depth because these consulting calls were not enough. And then the other one is how to use data to make sales. So you're getting both of those, just so you know.
Awesome.
Cool.
Great. Thank you.
No problem. So once again, we're here. We hover over it. We go show details. And what it's going to do is pop open a brand new tab. It makes its own tab. And it's going to have the zip code and the number 4, which represents bedrooms, right? And now what we're looking at is very similar to the raw data when we first got started. So every single row is an Airbnb, and every single column is a data point: average daily rate, occupancy, bedrooms, bathrooms. And what I've done here is I've come to the revenue column and I've organized it from highest to lowest. So now we're looking at all the listings in order from who's making the most to who's making the least, right? And the reason we do this is because we want to go through these listings and open them up and take a look at them to see exactly what they're doing right so that we can duplicate it, right? Just like King did with McDonald's. So this is the very first listing, and I have a feeling this isn't real data. Yeah, so this, I wouldn't believe this, possibly. A couple things that are bothering me here. There's only 18 reviews, okay?
Okay.
Typically, when you have been managing for a while or for an entire year, you're going to get more than 18 reviews. Okay. And so to only see 18, like, and it's kind of nerve wracking. So another part of this process is like, I got rid of the majority of the bad data, right? But there's still a bunch of bad data in here that kind of slips through the cracks. AirDNA's algorithm is not perfect, and it does pick up it has a lot of issues. And so like the first thing I see here is kind of making me a little nervous because it's a really shitty looking listing, but apparently making the most in the entire area, right?
That's a lot.
Yeah, which doesn't really add up, especially once we look at the next ones, right? And this is the point of going through all of them. If all of the homes look shitty like this one does, right? And this one is sort of the best looking one, and maybe it sleeps 14 people, so that's why it's doing so well. Then like maybe this is real, but my first gut feeling is this is probably not, right? So let's keep going through and taking a look at these other 4 bedrooms in the area. See, so I think this is a significantly, at least cooler looking place.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, significantly bigger, better, 200 reviews. So in my head, it doesn't make sense that this one would make $20,000 less than this one. Right?
Yeah, that one looks terrible.
Yeah, and this one also has 4.39 star reviews, so it's just terrible management as well. So there's probably something wrong with this data, and I don't really want to believe it. So I'm just gonna ignore it for now. Okay. So what I highlight those kind of homes yellow as like iffy, like I don't really believe you. Doesn't really make sense, right? The green ones are obviously approved. They make sense. The data, I like it. So this is the next one that we just came up. So I started jumping ahead of myself. One of the best things I love to see here is that it's actually the exact same host. So it's Austin again. It almost looks like it's in the exact same building because we have the exposed brick. But this is kind of a cool listing too, where, he's done well here. Nice, big and open. On this one, he's making a little bit more. But 69,000 compared to 62, right? So first one's making 69, next one's making 62. We'll review it a little bit more in depth to figure out why one might be making more than the other, right? This is also Austin, and I'll tell you. So the reason why I love seeing one host, you may think like, oh, that's not good, right? Like to have only one host and they're hosting all these homes. The reason why it's my favorite thing is because they're just like you or me, right? They're doing this full time, or at least making a side hustle out of it. And
Yeah.
so they're performing at a level that you or I would perform at, or at least better than a one-off person, right? And
Yeah.
they've put the home up, they've managed it well. You can see he's got 144 reviews here, 4.8 stars, right? Like he's doing a good job, just like you or I would. And so this person is very similar to us. So this is along the same lines of what we would be able to do. And so it's a good piece of data, right? It is a good thing for us to consider. And the part that I love about it is that he's got, I think it's honestly, I think he has all four of these when I was going through it. And
Interesting.
yeah, and they're all his. So what this is telling me, actually, no, this one is not. Well, at least it's not in the same building. It might still be Austin. No, so it's not. So those first three are all Austins, and they're all doing in a so around 60,000 to 69,000. That $10,000 range is beautiful, right? Because that tells me if I were to have a home that's very similar to his, we got the exposed brick, it's designed well, that you could potentially do within 60 to 69. So you can like, if you want to be conservative, you can say, I'm going to make 60,000. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you could say I can make 65, right? If you come across a home that's just as nice as his, but you think you could list it even better, like take better photos, better interior design, then you can put yourself around the 70 mark, right? And now that's giving you a solid real number that you can use to back up all of your other expenses, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But
Okay.
so first off, yes, he has great listing. Yes, he has really good reviews and a lot of them. But this is actually like technically not a good listing. So it's not photographed well, is what I'm getting at. The photos are, it's all very similar kind of photos that we're looking at. It doesn't really show the each section of the home really well. It's kind of the same thing. It's repetitive, but it looks like this really cool, like bachelor pad, not bachelor pad, but bachelor party type of place, right? It's really giving out that vibe. He's probably pushing for those people, probably allows them in, and they're probably paying more. You can even see he's got the double beds going, so he sleeps a bunch of people.
Mhm.
All in all, like this is pretty nice. There's only via cabinet launders, the bedroom, the loft overlooks the living room. It's curtains blackout. Please note upstairs. Okay. Upstairs loft is only 6 feet tall. Interesting. So pretty cool little place
Mhm.
got here. But once again, I wouldn't consider this to be a spectacular listing by any means. I would just say it's good.
Okay.
And then now this one, I'm assuming this one's actually doing worse, or $7,000 less because of all of the drywall on the walls. So you can see this big drywall over here. It has the exposed brick, but not nearly as much as this place does, right? This place is like completely exposed for the most part.
Yeah.
The ceilings, everything, it's really given a really cool feel to it, right? Whereas this one doesn't have the ceiling feel to it. It's kind of more put together, more homey. So it's not as cool of an experience for somebody, right?
Yeah.
At least that's how it's coming across.
Yeah.
I would even say the beds here look a lot worse than in his other photos, which this guy, if this guy were to take a photo shoot of these homes, a better photo shoot across the board, he could probably increase his revenue by 5 to 10,000 per listing. Like,
Okay.
no joke. The
Wow.
the best investment you can ever make is in a photographer.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. So anyways, very similar listing. And then I'm assuming this is gonna be the exact same idea, right? So this kind of gives you an idea of, I don't know if there's a lot of exposed brick homes down in this area, but you're getting a feel for it, right? Like if you do come across an exposed brick, that kind of gives off that a lot of character, a lot of like I don't know if vibe is the right word here, but like you're creating an
Yeah.
experience, right, for somebody that's a little bit different. And you can see this one's making the least amount, and I feel like it's very obvious why, right, in comparison to the other one. Huh?
I said terrible pictures.
Right, yeah. Like it's even got
Nice.
this cool ceiling. You didn't anyways, you get the idea. Cool. So we know what
Yeah.
they look like, right?
Mhm.
Now the next one we're gonna look at is making 55,000. And this is gonna be useful for us because all of these three listings are very, very similar. And it's putting us in a range. But these three here, so from 45 to 55, even 43 to 55, is like another $10,000 range, right? So just like this is a $10,000 range, that's a $10,000 range. And I like staying within these $10,000 ranges because most of the time the homes all look fairly similar, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so it gives me an idea of what to expect. So this is the next home here. It says it was on HGTV. It, once again, pretty not a great photo shoot. It's nothing like super exciting about this home whatsoever. Even though that's cool designs right there, but like I don't think it has amazing photos, but it's still doing it's 55,000 and it's a good looking home, right? So you
Yeah.
can't say it's terrible by any means. But it's just kind of giving you an idea of what you could expect if you were to have this type of home. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go
John,
to
real quick,
Yep.
that number, is that total gross that they're pulling from Airbnb, including cleaning fees?
correct. So
That's
it
just-
is like I'll show you right here actually. This is the best way to do it. Do you have an Airbnb yet?
Yes, I do. I've
Perfect.
got, yeah,
So
several.
you know how there is this is the nightly rate. My brain just broke. This is the nightly rate.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can see that, and then you got the cleaning fee, and those are the things that are coming to you, right?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
you know that, right? And then this
Yeah.
service fee is what goes to Airbnb, right?
Yep.
So when AirDNA tracks this, they're not tracking the service fee. They're just
Okay.
tracking this amount here.
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's before or after. It's just those two. So yes,
All right.
it's cleaning fees. Okay. This is a $50,000 home. And I apologize if I insult you in any way with saying like a listing looks bad. I'm a huge critic with the listings and the photos and everything.
Yeah, no, it's good. I
Yeah.
wanted to tell you that last one you said was terrible. It was actually one of my listings. I'm just kidding.
For a second, I was like, "Oh fuck."
No, you could. There's a couple of mine you could probably rip apart. So it's all.
Well,
It's
you know
all
what? Honestly, even some of my favorite clients, I will rip them apart like on listings. Like I have this one guy, his wife can do interior design like you wouldn't imagine. Like goes to an antique store and like can put together a home in the coolest possible way. And like for a full year, they didn't get a proper photo shoot. And so they just had all the like, I'm like, you have the coolest listing, but it's not being shown. You know what I mean? Like no one can see it. And they finally
Yeah.
got all the photos done, and they're like, man, were you ever right? Like, what a difference that made. I was like, I told you for a year.
Yeah. To tell you
Right?
for 365 days.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're looking at this one. I actually think this is a really well done listing with good photos. The interior designing is pretty well done as well. It's making 50,000. It's a pretty small kitchen, but it's not a bad listing at all. I'm actually a little confused why this one's making only 50,000 in comparison to the other one that we just looked at that was making 55,000. Because I would say this is a superior listing. Even
Yeah, that one looks great. Now, is it a double, you think? Was it listed as a double or a duplex?
like a side by side.
Yeah, I was wondering, it looks like maybe that blue part is a part of the unit and maybe that other one, but I might be wrong.
No, you might be right. Doesn't say. At least on the first little bit.
Yeah,
But it kind of feels like it, right? Like that was a big building in comparison to the size of that kitchen and everything.
yeah. But I mean, I'm with you. The photos look good. The staging and everything was good.
Yeah, I'm impressed with it. There's something going on why it's only doing the amount that's doing. Even this whole description is super thorough. I'm impressed. Sometimes it's overkill, but like the way they have it organized is nice, Like I like if I don't care about that stuff, I can skip it, right?
Yeah, it's really nice.
We got 37 reviews at 4.65, so they screwed up a little bit in some different areas. Maybe it has to do with location. Nope, they're right there. Oh, no, they're not. Wait, I don't know this is downtown, right?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Interesting, eh? Why this one would be doing $5,000 better?
Yeah, I'm really confused too. I'm wondering if it is location. It looks like it's,
Wouldn't that be the better look? Wouldn't that be, is this the same host, sweet spots?
I mean, you're right in the middle of all of the other targeted areas that we pulled up, so.
It's 119. This one that's doing 55,000 has a 4.8 star review and 119.
Mhm.
So you also have to keep in mind that Airbnb kind of works like Google, where they push things to the first page, right? They push what
Yeah.
they want, and so this may not be it, but a guess would be that they're at 4.6, which in the world of Airbnb, that's kind of a big deal. So they're probably pushed further down into like page 2 or
Mm.
3 or 4. And when that happens, you get booked less, or you know what I mean, your occupants. So you can't ask as much is the thing, right? But maybe before
Yeah.
you could ask 300, but now you have to ask 250 to get booked, right? So that's gonna lower your revenue for sure. But it still is such a nice place. I can't believe. Interesting.
Yeah, clean.
Yeah. Okay, where's this one located? These are a little like this one's over here, and you would think that this closer to the downtown would be better, but maybe this is better. You would know better than me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good location, and that's right where the cluster of all the ones that you had pulled up were earlier.
Yeah,
Mary May, so.
hard to say. I'm
This,
putting my money on the reviews.
okay, yeah.
And not like I had a home that would show up first, like it would be the very first 4 bedroom that you would find if you were to look in a certain area, and its revenue was higher than every other one, right? And then I'd have some that screwed up and they were down low, and you're making significantly less money. So
Mhm.
yeah, sorry. I know you know this stuff. You're doing Airbnb as well, but
Oh, it's helpful. You can keep commenting. It's good.
okay. My girlfriend always tells me that I over explain to people and kind of like talk down sometimes, and I don't mean to, but I just like it's
No, I'm
over-explaining.
soaking it up. It's good.
All right, cool. As long as you
Keep
feel that way.
Yeah, you keep doing it. Wow, this is an interesting.
Yeah, what the heck, eh?
Yeah, wow.
4.3, not surprised. They would went for the bachelor pad.
Hmm.
Um, I don't even feel like we need to go through this one, but it's doing
Yeah.
45,000. So this is something that you wouldn't do. So I wouldn't really worry too much about it. So if I were to just stop here, okay, actually, yeah, if I were to just stop here, I can see it. These two are homes, right? They're like they're homes, right? They're homes. They have a little bit of a backyard, and they're in that general area. These ones here are in a 3-story, 4-story high rise, and
Yeah.
they've got exposed brick and they've got character, right? So if I were you and I were to be going and looking in this area, if I was looking at a house, I would assume around 50,000. I'm just going to say 50,000 because we want to be conservative always, right?
Yeah.
If I were to find something nicer, I'd assume 60,000, right? And so those are the kind of the numbers that you'd be working with for a 4-bedroom in that area, right?
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So in this, okay, so even more important to note is that the exposed brick one is directly in the middle of downtown.
Yeah, it's right in the center of everything.
Yeah, so that's another key piece as well. Yep, it's obviously on the same building, so they're all going to be right there. All right, so with this information, right, like how do we turn this into something useful that we can act on? My first thought is that getting a home right in that downtown area is probably going to be more expensive than if you were to be below it, right?
Yeah.
Just general logic.
Yep.
But so making 50,000 down here might not be as bad, right? Like you're making $10,000 less, but you're probably saving a bunch on rent. Therefore, it evens itself out. So,
Definitely.
so you have this other sheet in here, the property valuation sheet.
Okay.
And on this property valuation sheet, what you can do is you can analyze properties, right? So you can see here, what I've done is, the first part here is you add in information about the property. Right here, you add in comparables. You can see I've added the 3 comparables here that we were just looking at, to kind of give you an understanding of what, anyways, gives you comparables.
Yeah.
And I've added in, like, you can make 60,000, right? And then what that's going to do, it automatically breaks it up by nightly rate and cleaning fee, but don't worry about that. 60,000 is the revenue number. And then what we want to do is actually look at the expenses on this, right? So, what's added in here is like, how much are the cleaners, the utilities, the internet, all these other expenses, right? So, sorry, I'm not explaining this very well. What I'm trying to say is that you can use this sheet to figure out how much profit you can make per property. And you just follow it step by step. You add in the information, you add in the comparable properties, it's going to give you an idea of how much you can potentially make. Then you add in all of your expenses and you see how much profit is left over, right?
Yes.
Now, do you do rental arbitrage or do you purchase?
I've purchased, and then I'm doing co-hosting with a few. I've got 3 properties I'm co-hosting.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And now, do those landlords, do they strictly do it because they can make more money, or are they doing it just because they prefer Airbnb? Like, what's their
They're
reason?
doing it to make more money as opposed to, long-term
Okay,
in it. Yeah.
great. So this is how I would pitch somebody that was going to let me manage their home, right?
Okay.
So the way I would go about it is that you have the data now, right? We know how much a home could potentially make. We have comparable properties to prove it, right?
Yeah.
So what I would do if I was on Zillow and I were to find a home that was for rent within that area that was a 4-bedroom. Actually, sorry, I jumped one step ahead. Keep doing this. Okay, so we know, let's assume that we're going to make 50,000 because that's what I said. I want to be conservative, right?
Yeah.
How much are the cleaners for you for a 4-bedroom?
See, I don't have any that big, but my guess is for a 4-bedroom, it would probably be $100 for cleaning.
Amazing. Nice and cheap. It's $250 in Scottsdale.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, let's assume 6 turnovers per month. What do you think the electric bill would be per month on a 4-bedroom?
Probably 175.
Okay, and the gas? Or sorry, that was the gas. What do you think the gas would be?
Oh, gas and electric will actually be together, so that's probably reasonable there for a 4-bedroom. Yeah.
175 and 175?
Yeah.
Okay. Internet is always about 80 around America. Maintenance is like furniture upgrades, stuff like, or furniture breaks, stuff like that. You kind of want to have a budget for that. I'm gonna make it 150 instead of 200.
Yeah. Sounds
And
good.
then amenities, consumables. So your soap, shampoos, all that stuff. I'm gonna leave that at 100 because that's for a 4-bedroom. That's generally what it costs.
Yeah.
And you're managing, right? What's
Mhm.
your management fee?
20%.
And are you taking it directly out of the nightly rate or the total revenue, which includes the cleaning fee?
I take it out of the nightly rate, not the cleaning fee.
Okay. So we're taking 20% out of there. All right.
Mhm.
So what this is saying is that we're going to make 50,000, right? These are going to be all of our expenses except for the rent. Okay. And in this scenario, you're getting paid, right? So you're making your 20%.
Yeah.
That means that there's $26,000 left over to go towards rent, right? Now, the person that you're working with wants to make more money than what they would get from a renter, right?
Sure.
If they had a renter there, that renter is going to be paying them rent, and that renter is also going to be paying their utilities, and they're not going to have a cleaning bill or an amenities bill, right?
Yeah.
So we have to deduct all of these additional expenses that the landlord is going to have, including your fee, and whatever's left over is the money that would go directly to them, and that should be more than the rent that they would receive, and that's how they're going to be making more money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that number then becomes 22,200. Okay, so 2,200. So what I like to do is I actually call that my max rent number. And so that's the maximum amount of rent that the home can be. And the landlord is still going to break out even, right? So ideally they make less.
Yeah.
The rent is less. Okay, so we're looking for rent. Even though you're not paying rent, you're using that logic that the landlord wants to make that amount in rent, right?
Sure.
Okay, so we're using 22. Just gonna use 2,200 flat, and we're looking for 4 bedrooms. We're gonna use exact match, and we're looking in this area, and there's none available. There's one way down here, but I think that would be out of the range.
Yeah, that'd be pretty far down.
Right, so let's see how much the rent is actually for homes in this area. Oh, are there no 4 bedrooms?
I was gonna say there's a lot of, in this neighborhood, there's a lot of small houses. There's not a lot of 4 bedrooms.
Interesting. There's a 5 bedroom for 1,800. All right, well, this is a good enough example because it has an extra bedroom. So
Yeah, and the house looks pretty nice.
yeah, it's not bad.
They want you to know who's managing it.
Just in case you missed that.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about the sort of this area that doesn't look too presentable, but the backyard you could do some stuff with. So if I was, so that'd be similar to one of these homes, right?
Yeah.
This home or that home or this one. And these ones are doing 50,000. And the rent is on that home
18.
18. So let's take that number and go. Let's just do 18. It's fairly close. Go this, minus that. So so the landlord could make an extra $436 a month, right? In comparison to what he's trying to get right now.
Yeah.
Over the full year, that's about $4,800. So if you get him to furnish the entire place, you could probably furnish that entire place for 5,000. You know, you kind of maybe want to do around 5,000 to 6,000. And in a year and maybe a half, he's going to have made his money back on the furniture, and he's no longer going to have any more turnover, right? Because you're just going to manage it for the next 5 years. And so he's no longer has any so no losses on turnover in between tenants. You're cleaning the place and keeping it nice and neat and everything. It's going to be furnished and taken care of that way, and you're going to take care of all of the work for everything that he's doing moving forward, and he can walk away with more money.
Yeah. Seems like a good solution.
That's
I like it.
pretty straightforward way to sell a landlord, right? Now
Yeah.
you know that landlord's going to be like, if I were to go to this guy, you know that odds of him making more are pretty high, and the odds of actually converting him is easier because you can explain it to him that way. Anyways,
Yeah, and that's a really good location too.
is it?
Yeah.
It's a nice little, like these homes side by side, they look pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good location, close to everything downtown, close to the football stadium, close to Fountain Square where all the music is. It's a nice location. So
Nice. You know what's even more interesting about this is that it's a 5 bedroom.
yeah, that is interesting.
So what if we just say with that extra bedroom, we'll make another 5,000, hypothetically, What do the numbers look like? Landlord's making an extra $788. That I feel like that would be more accurate because it's a bigger home. It can seat more
Mhm.
people. It even has a nice big backyard, so you could get hanging lights back there, picnic table,
Yeah.
all the games in the backyard,
Mhm.
and he could be walking away with almost 8,400 extra. That's going to cover all the furniture expenses easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
That
you
would
were
be,
to really do a great job, take absolutely amazing photos and manage it extremely well, you could walk away with almost over $12,000 more than he was expecting.
that would seem to get his attention.
That definitely would. I would
Yeah.
probably present it being like scenario one, you walk away with 4,800. Best case scenario, you walk away with 12,000 more than the amount that you're planning on getting.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, that's
And like what I always would explain to landlords, I know you've already sold this a couple times, but like some good pitches here too is saying like, so for Chicago, I don't know what it is here, but in Chicago, when you went from one renter to another renter, you typically had to get the place repainted, re-cleaned, and hire somebody to find somebody to rent it out, right? And when you hired somebody, you paid 1 month's rent. So best case scenario, and my homes that I rented out were about 3,500 to 4,000, right? So best case scenario was somebody left and it got re-rented. There was no missed months, and it was completely repainted and cleaned all in that exact same time period, right? And if that happened, it would be about $5,000 that the landlord would have to pay to get a new tenant in there, right? If you miss 1 month, that goes up by 3,500. You miss 2 months, another 3,500. So by not missing a month ever, you save that money every single time you would have potentially lost or had to turnover, which was every 1 to 2 years in Chicago, right?
Oh yeah, I bet.
So if you say like, I want to do this for the next 5 years, right? And it's only going to keep increasing, it's going to keep getting better. We're going to keep getting more reviews and being able to up our price. And like, that's it. That's another way to get the landlord to pay for the furniture instead of you paying for
Yeah,
it.
it's a great strategy. I never even thought of that. So
Yeah, something to think of. So,
I like it.
okay, let's go back here. Your homework in like what you would have to do moving forward, right?
Yeah.
This is your data map now, right? This is your revenue map. So what we're doing is what you're gonna have to do is exactly what we just did. You're gonna want to go through these different spots, right? And you're gonna want to figure out, you double click them, like show detail,
Okay.
and you come in here and you organize it from highest to lowest, right? And then you do the exact process that we just did, right? And you look at all the listings and see what is the criteria that is allowing these homes to make the amount that they're making, right?
Mhm.
And just keep going one after another, keep like going through all these. So now like within that area, if you're right downtown and you have like a really cool loft place, you can make about 65,000, right? If you have a home, you can make about 50,000, right? Like, this is crucial information for you to know so that you can just very easily approach landlords and tell them this and make sales and maybe rent or buy for yourself. And when you know that for one area, you then figure it out for the next area and then the next unit size, right? So maybe 3 bedrooms, like 3 bedrooms are on average doing 45, right? And maybe 3 bedrooms, maybe there's more 3 bedrooms in that area and maybe they're cheaper,
Which
right?
that would be my guess, is there's probably,
Whole bunch. Look at that.
yeah, a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch. This one's going for 700. Geez. I'm sure it's not too nice, but 700, right? Can't beat that.
Yeah, that's cheap.
Yeah, this is, I pay more than that for a tiny little apartment that I live in Canada. Canada's real
Wow.
estate's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so you get the idea, right?
Yeah, it's good. I've really never thought about approaching the arbitrage route, or I've had landlords and property owners come to me because they know that this is what I do.
Right.
but I've never gone in like cold like this and really pitched it, but I like that strategy.
Well, what I would say and recommend is only do arbitrage if you're gonna make a bunch of money. Okay,
Yeah.
like with that deal that we were just looking at, you're gonna make 9,000. Okay, if you were to do arbitrage here, let's take this away. So you're no longer getting a management fee, right? And you're paying the rent of 1,800. In this case, you would make 23,000, right? You're paying this expense and you're paying all these expenses as well. Okay, you're making 23,000. That's best case scenario. Okay, that's as if you do just as well as the super cool trendy places in downtown. So
Yeah.
let's get back to the 50,000. Okay, at 50,000, you're making 13. So, and 50,000, we said from the beginning is more likely. 55 even is might be even closer, right? I think that's what we determined. So you could potentially make double the amount of what you would make if you were to be managing it, right? However, you have to take on all of this risk. So you're taking on the risk of having to pay not only just the mortgage, or sorry, the rent, right? But also all of these bills as well. You have to pay them just like you have to pay this one if you want to make the money, right? And you are liable to furnish everything.
Yeah.
Right? So personally, I wouldn't take a deal as to do rental arbitrage unless I was making like 30 to 40 grand.
Okay.
It would have to like that's me just from my experience and what I've done. It'd have to be like 30 or 40 over. Now I know a bunch of people that do it and they'll just make 5 extra grand, but they'll do 10 homes. There are 10 apartment buildings in one building and they'll make a bunch of money, right?
Yeah.
But that's for you to decide to figure out. Always keep in mind that with management, you're making money right off the bat, right? Management. And honestly, if a home was gonna make you $30,000 to $40,000 of cash flow if you rented it, fucking buy it. All right. Like if you
Yeah,
figure
exactly.
out a way, like buy it because it's gonna be even cheaper.
Yeah.
The rental will be even cheaper and you'll make even more money.
Mhm.
So that's my recommendation.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool. Any other questions before we finish off?
I don't think so. I think this has been really helpful.
Okay, we've covered a lot. And once again, I'm going to follow up this with, I'm going to share this with you. Okay, just so you know right now. And you're going to have to go to file, make a copy. Okay. And it's
Okay.
gonna give you your own version that you can edit.
Okay.
And then I want you to just close this one and forget about it. Your version is going to say copy of. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And that's it. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna stop recording. Oh, you're also gonna be getting the course. I'm gonna be sending that to you. Okay. So you have